In this question, we're given a couple of similar triangles and we need to solve for the unknown variable. And to be able to solve for the unknown variable, we have to set up a proportion with corresponding sides. Now, normally when I set up a proportion with corresponding sides, I take the smallest side and then match it up with the smallest side over here. But in this case, it's hard to see which side of each triangle is the smallest, or maybe what's the biggest. So I'm going to look at my similarity statement here. And I know that 5x plus 11 is what we're going to start off with because that has the variable. Alright, so that has to be included in my proportion. Now we want to match up HF with the corresponding side over here. Now like I said, I'm not really sure which side over here that HF matches up with. So what I can do is look at my similarity statement up here. I see that I have my H here and my F here. So it's the first and the third letter. Well, that matches up with JL. So that's going to be the corresponding side over here. So JL, which is a value of 18, that's going to go on the bottom. Now I'm going to take my other side, which is HG, and that's going to be 88, and I match it up with the other side over here. So as you can see, HG or GH is the middle and third letter. So we're going to go with KL here, which is this length, and that's going to be 24. Now we could cross multiply and solve. So by cross multiplying, I take 24 and I multiply it by this binomial here. So I do 24 times 5x plus 11. And then I take 18 and I multiply it by 88. I'm going to work with this left side first. I have 24 and I need to multiply that by both of these two terms, so I distribute it. 24 times 5x, that's going to be 120x, and then 24 times 11, that's going to be 264. And then lastly, this is going to be 1584. 18 times 88 is 1584. And from here I want to solve for x, so I need to get x by itself. First thing I need to do is take away 264 from the left side and the right side. So now I'm going to be left with 120x equals 1584 minus 264 is 1320, 1320. And now I want to divide out the 120. That goes away because it's just a 1 in front of the x. And then this side divided by 120 will give us our final answer. It's going to be x equals 11. So that's what this missing variable, or the unknown variable, is equal to. In this next part, B, it's really similar. Again, I know that I have to solve for x, right? So I'm going to start off by doing that. It's going to be x over something over here. And right off the bat, I just don't know what x matches up with, or I should say AC. I don't know what side this matches up with. So I take a look at AC up here, and it's the first and the last letter. So that matches up with D and F. So I can see that DF here is 18, so that's going to be what I use for that fraction. Okay, now I'm going to make an error here. Alright, so let's watch what I do. I need to set this equal to another fraction, right? So I'm going to just go with BC. I see that it's 10 here, so that's all good, alright? I take 10 and I divide it by, well, on the right side, what's BC equal to? It looks like EF. So I see that EF, or FE, it's the same thing, is Y. So then I would do 10 divided by Y. Now remember, I'm solving for x, right? So if I cross multiply and try to get an x value, I still have an unknown value here for y. So what I meant by all that is that I don't want to use BC because BC matches up with FE and we don't have that variable over here. What we want on this side is a fraction with no variables. So let me erase all this. And I do not want to use BC, so I'm going to go up here and use BA. And I see that AB or BA, however you want to call it, is the first two letters, so that's going to match up with DE. And DE is down here in the bottom, which is 12. So I have 8, which is on this side, divided by 12. Okay, now, here in the numerators, x and 8, that was coming from this triangle right here. You want to be consistent. Um, and you can see 18 and 12, that comes from this triangle. You would not want to write x over 18 and then equal to a 12 over 8. You can't flip that. So if the left triangle here is going to be in the numerator, you want to keep that in the numerator. And then these values are going to stay in the denominator. Okay, so we want to solve, so I cross multiply. X times 12 is 12x, and then 18 times 8 is on the right side. So let's simplify this a little bit. We've got 12x equals, the product of this is going to be 144, and then we want to undo the multiplication of 12, so I divide it. 12 divided by 12 is just 1, so we'd have 1x over here. And then on the right side, I divide by 12. And I'm left with x equals 12 is my final answer. So that's the value for x. And I want to solve for y as well. So I need to set up a new proportion. Now, because we're looking for y, I want to make sure that I start off with that variable, right? So now we have fe. We want to figure out, well, what side on my left does fe match up with? And you can see that we've got EF or FE. That's the last two letters, so that matches up with BC. So BC over here is that 10. So I do Y divided by 10. So now you can see that the triangle on my right, that's going to be in the numerator. So I want to pick a value on the right side. And let's see, I'm looking at 18 right here. So we could go with 18 that was in green. So I'll write that in green. And 18, which is FD, the first and the last letter right here matches up with AC on this side. So AC was originally X, but we solved that. That ended up being 12. So then I'm going to make that divided by 12. Again, I'm going to cross multiply to solve. So Y times 12 we'll write as 12Y. And then 10 times 18 is 180. We want to divide out the 12 from both sides. So 12 over 12 is just 1. It goes away. And I'm left with y on my left side. And 180 divided by 12 is going to be 15. So the value for y ends up being 15.